In November 2022, the West Midlands Police launched Operation Huntarian, a large-scale investigation that targeted 4 major county drug networks. This is the moment when the police arrested several members of the drug ring inside a house. In just 6 months, the police officers cracked open a vast network of sophisticated drug dealers. From heroin to crack, this gang was making millions of pounds every year. But now they were exposed once and for all. This is how the West Midlands Police captured 12 men who were running a massive drug ring in the UK. The West Midlands Police carried out Operation Huntarian across Birmingham and Solihull, targeting the Rico, Diego, Vigo, and Potter county lines. Usually, each county line is full of territorial disputes because different gangs control it. However, there was an unusual level of cooperation among these 4 lines. This alliance allowed the drug dealers to expand their customer base, streamline operations, and maximize profits, all while working together as partners, not enemies. According to the police officials, they made between £18,000 and £20,000 of revenue per week. The annual revenue was over £1.2 million, making it one of the biggest narcotics rings in the UK. The revenue they generated also meant that their internal operations were highly sophisticated. Each line had dedicated cell phones that sent messages in bulk, advertising the availability of Class A drugs. A vast network of users, customers, and middlemen received these messages and came out to purchase the drugs. Over 1,000 calls were made daily from these dedicated mobile phones, and over 200 regular customers were noted. But this wasn't a simple business transaction like standing on the street corner and selling drugs. In fact, it was a highly coordinated joint effort between the 4 lines. They shared resources, remained in constant contact with each other, and monitored any law enforcement movements nearby. If any member from any line suspected danger, he would instantly inform the others so everyone could evade law enforcement detection. At the Rico line, 2 brothers, Adam and Haroon Iqbal, along with Muhammad Usman, spearheaded the operations. Their primary area of dealing was in Hodge Hill, where they sold thousands of pounds of drugs every week. Adam Slater and Tiana Phillips managed the Diego line. Yassine Sadiq also significantly helped them with day-to-day business, managing business deals, phone calls, and the supply of drugs. Ilyas Sadiq controlled the Figo line along with Mark Seeley and Amani Adams. According to the police, these 3 communicated with each other regularly, coordinated drop-offs of drugs, and line top-ups. And lastly, the Potter line was operated by Anis Mahmoud, Humair ul Rahman, and Levi Mukwita. Anis was the boss here while Levi was the middleman. He supplied the drugs across all 4 lines, making sure that every line had enough stock to sell. For years, these people were on the police radar. Officers knew that a massive drug ring was working in these areas, supplying Class A narcotics all across the UK. However, they had no idea how dangerous they were. But this didn't mean that the police stepped back. They investigated. They knew they would gather evidence and identify the people behind this group. It was just a matter of time and patience. From November 2022 to May 2023, the police investigations went on. During this period, several breakthroughs were made. For example, on 3rd February 2023, Adam and Tiana were stopped in their car in Solihull. Their phone data showed that the Diego line where they were working was active in the area. A couple of weeks later, on the 14th of February, Slater was stopped by the police once again. This time, 2 more phones were recovered. One of these phones was also being used for the Diego line. 4 days later, Yassine Sadiq made the biggest mistake of his life. He reactivated and switched the Diego line to a new network and did the same with his personal number. He had no idea that the police were constantly tracking him through telecommunication investigations and CCTV footage. Unaware of the police tail, he smartly changed the network. However, on 17 February 2023, the detectives tracked the change and linked him to the Diego line. Further investigations revealed that Yasin's phone was associated with the Figo line, and it showed regular communications between Mark Seeley and Amani Adams. Since they were working for Ilya Sadiq, the phone data also gave the police information about him. As for the Potter line, messages revealed that Mukwita was supplying the drugs to all 4 lines, while Anis and Humer oversaw the operations. It was a huge and highly sophisticated operation. The police had to move in right away. But as easy as it sounded, it required meticulous planning. They couldn't just stop the suspects and put them in cuffs. What they could do was secure arrest warrants and execute the plan smartly. Finally, in May 2023, the authorities had the warrants in hand. Over 240 police force members were briefed about the operation. 17 arrest warrants were to be executed across Birmingham and Solihull. Multiple properties had to be hit at once to make sure that nobody escaped or communicated about the police raid to their partners. Speed, aggression, and precision were the key ingredients of the raids. Thanks to the efforts of the police, these raids turned out to be successful. On 23rd May, early in the morning, the police arrested 9 individuals after they raided different houses across Birmingham and Solihull. All of them were either hiding or still asleep when the officers busted down their doors. The drug dealers who thought they were untouchable were finally facing the wrath of the law. Inside the houses, the police found bundles of evidence. The phones, which were the backbone of their operation, had customer lists, drug stocks, images, and text messages. Walls were drilled into to hide stacks of cash and Class A drugs. It was a treasure trove of evidence. Everything that the police needed to lock them away for a long time was right there. All that was left to do was to book them and put them behind bars. Now, 9 people were in police custody, but at least 3 more were still left to be arrested. The police were on the lookout for Adams, Rehman, and Mahmoud, but they were nowhere to be seen. Then, something unexpected happened. Adams and Rehman had seen the news about the arrests of their fellow gang members. Both of them knew that the police weren't too far away from catching them. And when they did, they weren't going to cut them any slack. Considering everything that was happening around them, and the drug operation being completely busted, Adams and Rehman were left with no choice. They decided to turn themselves in to the police, hoping that they would get some favors like a reduced sentence or a plea deal for this noble act. The police brought them into custody, but Mahmoud was still on the run. Authorities found out that Mahmoud was an immigrant from Pakistan, and he was in his home country at the time of the arrest. They notified all the airports about him, giving strict orders that as soon as he lands, he shall be arrested. The news of his friend's arrest came out everywhere. However, Mahmoud either didn't read the news, or he just thought of himself as being untouchable. In September 2023, he hopped on a flight from Pakistan to Birmingham, thinking that he would just go back about his business once he was in the UK. But he had no idea that the police were waiting for him at the Birmingham airport, ready to take him to jail. As soon as his flight landed at the airport, Mahmoud was taken into custody by armed police officers. He was left in shock because he thought he was untouchable. However, the police proved him wrong. All 12 members who had been running 4 county lines were finally arrested. The West Midlands Police reported that a complex investigation made these arrests possible. A large number of drugs were taken off the streets, making the UK a safer place. For over a year, these people stayed behind bars, awaiting their sentences. Finally, in December 2024, the Birmingham Crown Court awarded them their jail terms. Since all 12 had pleaded guilty already, there was no chance of the court or authorities going easy on them. Adam Iqbal got 12.5 years in prison. Anis Mahmoud was sentenced to 12 years and 10 months. Yasin Sadiq and Ilya Sadiq were sentenced to 11 years and 10 years and 10 months, respectively. Levi Mukwita received a 10.5-year sentence, along with Mohammed Usman. Amani Adams and Humair ul-Rahman, who turned themselves in to the police, were sentenced to 8 years and 6 years, respectively. Harun Iqbal and Adam Slater were sentenced to 6 years, while Tiana Phillips and Mark Seeley received 5 years and 4 years and 8 months, respectively. After the arrests, Detective Sergeant Craig Tennant of the West Midlands Police said that their actions do not stop at enforcement. He encouraged the public to get in touch with them if they have any information related to any similar activities in their surroundings. The public information is crucial to their investigations, and that is what brought down these 12 people. Today, all of them are behind bars, serving prison sentences for conspiring to and supplying Class A drugs across Birmingham and Solihull. And that will be all for today's video. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications for more criminal gang stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.